Hello, friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you're probably surprised again at the where I am or the backdrop that I'm recording in front of. Yes, I've had to move to a new area of the place where I'm staying, and that's part of being the caretaker of someone in a hospital hotel. So, if you are new here, let me tell you what I'm talking about. So, friends, I'm doing a deep dive into a very particular and beautiful and engaging deck called The Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And what I do is every day I draw one card from that deck. And I sit with it and I try to acknowledge the ideas, the meanings, the significances that I have stored in my brain for that card in the Golden Dawn system decks. For example, the Smith Waite, the Harris Crowley, the RWS, the Thoth decks. Because this deck is very different. This deck was created from a synthesis of knowledge of the esoterica of the continental tarot, which includes the esoterica or surrounding the Tarot de Marseille, the Etea deck, etc. So I try to detangle those ideas from the image that I see before me. And to help me with that, I use a very trusted RWS deck called the Light Seers Tarot, and I do a 3-card spread. I pull one card for significance, one card for obstacle, one card for the advice. So a very typical 3-card spread. And then I sit with that. And then at the end of the day, I go to my handy-dandy little guidebook, that's what we call them, a guidebook, for the Tarot of the Holy Light, and I look at the meanings as intended by the creator of the deck with the Continental Tarot esoterica in mind, and then I reflect on the events in the day and how they line up with the meaning of the deck, how the meaning of the card as intended by the creator revealed itself or did not reveal itself to me during the day. So that's my process. And if you are new here, just for a little bit of background, I am caring for my mother in a hospital hotel. She was discharged from the hospital after having recovered from pneumonia, but we're in a foreign country. So she was released to me in what's called a hospital hotel, a place for people in recovery but not needing full care. So she's with me. She's in my room, so I can't film in my room because she's resting. So I'm trying to find quiet spaces around this place to do my videos. And the card that I got today was the 3 of discs reversed. The 3 of discs reversed. And we see in this card, let me show you upright. We see in this card, we have a very alchemical feel to this card. And at the very top, you see a word. Yeah, it says harmony. So in the upright, we've got the harmony of the 3 of discs, the 3 elements, the 2 which create the 3rd. Now, and here we have a male presenting figure and a female presenting figure, which we would think in combination create the 3rd. There's a very, very majestic and ready for flight bird at the very top. We've got the sun on the man side and the moon on the woman side. We've got the sun in the morning and the moon at night. It's all there. It's all beautiful. We've got some flowering going on. We've got some flowering happening. It's a lovely deck, a lovely card. In reverse, the thing that caught my eye with this card in reverse was this little guy here. Yeah, you see, let me show you closer. You see that bird there. Let me show you the bird upright. Now that bird there is almost being crushed in between the 4 discs. Yeah, the 3 discs of the 3 of discs, tops and the both sides, and then at the bottom the earth with the sun there. Now you can see its neck and its little head down there, and it's crushed. It's kind of being crushed, and that's what drew my eye in reverse. That feeling of burden. So I drew my 3 cards from the tarot, the Light Seer's Tarot, and the 3 cards. Let me show them to you right now. These 3 cards were very interesting for me. They're 3 cards that I usually love deeply. The first one was, you saw, the Page of Cups. The second, the Shadow card. The card that was the obstacle was the 10 of Cups. And then the Hanged Man. Now, a lot of water flowing through this 3-card spread. The Page of Cups. Page of Cups. I usually think of as the child, the young romantic. Yeah, the first love, puppy love romantic. Also, the intuitive. Yeah, usually we see in the Pamela Coleman Smith's art, we see a page holding a cup, and from that cup there's this surprising little fish head popping its way out. Yeah, so there's that intuitive knowledge, surprise information, messages from the unconscious or messages from spirit. It's also a kind of love card. It's an emotional card. It's a youthful emotional card. Here we have all of this energy coming out from the heart on this figure seated here. We see the heart between the 2 hands. We also see the energy flowing up to this figure, floating above that person's head. So it could be the dreamer. Now, the Page of Cups is also the dreamer for me. So all of those things, a burden. So my burden is dreaming. That doesn't make sense, really. Maybe the burden is in the realm of love, and with this being the card of opposition, now perhaps the disjointed family, the disharmonious family, it could be in opposition, but it could also be sometimes that all this good stuff could still stand in the way of this. Yeah, this could be a distraction or take one away from the nascent, the incipient, the new love that is possible, or the new inspiration, or the new intuitive knowledge, or the new dream. The family could stand in the way of, a happy family can stand in the way of what needs to happen for that new dream to come into fruition, if that makes sense. And so the advice was to hang around, hang in there. It was the hangman. Which I often take as my significator card. You probably know that I call myself the Hanged Man in the Moon because this is one of the cards I love. So the advice here was to perhaps wait for the new perspective to appear, to reveal itself for me, to wait here for the runes to arise so that I can take them, so I can absorb them, so I can bring that knowledge within me, like the Odin on the tree. So those are the things that were floating around in my head as I went through my day. And then at the end of the day, like I said, I went to the book, and let me read you some from this book. So let's first start with the upright version, just so we get a foothold, a grasp of this card as it presents itself. The 3 of Discs is traditionally the card of genius. Yeah. In the decks from the 1900s, for example, the Smith-Waite deck, we typically see a master craftsman consulting with his masons on how to install a beautiful stained glass window in the nave of a cathedral. Now, you remember in Pamela Coleman Smith's art, there are these 3 figures in the very dark-looking cathedral-like structure, and there are these 3 holes up in the ceiling, and they look like they're planning and trying to figure something out. They're constructing something. Moving right along, this card is indicating someone who far exceeds previous limits. So excelling in one's craft, which is a little bit resonant with the 8 of Pentacles in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but here we get that also in the 3 of Discs. The 3 of Discs is very specifically about achieving a masterwork, finding the right set and setting in which to immortalize your talent. So instead of only working with other people, it's one's talent, finding the place for that to come into fruition, for it to reveal, not only reveal itself, but to be manifest. Now, here we're going on to the reverse meanings. There's a lot more about the upright meaning, but let's head on to the reverse. Here we go. Now, Saturn, in this deck, the Three of Pentacles, the Three of Discs, in its upright is Saturn in Libra. And Saturn is very expansive in Libra. And it's bringing things in from the past to manifest in the present. Here we go for the reverse. Saturn in his fall, when this card is reversed, represents the mandate of long-term vision. Saturn is traditionally the father figure, the Time Lord. His perception of the long, slow cycle of life is so well developed that it edges into precognition. So this is Saturn looking forward, looking to the future. When the inner senses converge with both practical instinct and spiritual intuition, showing a vista of difficulties in the offing, Saturnine types naturally feel responsible to their tribe and their times. So this is Saturn in that long-range view, sees the problems that are going to arise, sees the difficulties that are going to appear, and feels responsible for taking care of those for the people around him or her or them. The tradition of the Three of Discs reversed suggests an environment that is too repressive to support full inspiration. Now, remember I mentioned that bird that felt burdened, right? There is not always a complete failure of forward progress, but building and constraining forces will exact attacks. So there's that burden, the constraining forces taxing the individual. In some circumstances, the artist might keep his or her highest creations entirely within, held tight between the heart and imagination. Yeah? The etheric womb is another way of describing that. So instead of, we've got that idea of seeing the future difficulties that are going to reveal themselves and feeling responsible for taking care of them for those around us. There's that feeling of being constrained and taxed by circumstances, but there's also the idea of the creative impulse gestating within in that etheric womb, not ready to or just not coming out into manifestation. Such an artist enfolds the whole creative process within him or herself, being self-inseminating and parthenogenic, self-fertilizing, without need of outside intervention. For this privilege, the artist willingly bears the burden of personal eccentricity, even weirdness or awkwardness, due to being too highly individuated. So there's also that idea of being so, my teacher in high school called me off the wall, so off the wall that your people don't understand you, don't understand what's going on inside of you, and that there's this thing, this potential, this creation gestating within. And it may come into manifestation. Hopefully it will come into manifestation. But that parthenogenesis, that insemination, that the fertilizing of the embryo all happens within. It doesn't require an outside input of either semen or egg, right? It's hermaphroditic. So we got those ideas going in these cards. And let me tell you about my day. My day was okay. It was fine. I got my mother her breakfast this morning. She felt a little too cranky to go get dressed and go downstairs to get her own breakfast. So I went down and got her breakfast. I brought it up and I sat there and watched her eat and helped her eat. And then I brought the dishes back and then I got my breakfast. And then I went back up. And we spent the morning like that. And then she got the energy, the desire to get dressed when I suggested it. And so we went down for lunch, and we had lunch downstairs. And during lunch, I got contacted by the nurse, the traveling nurse who will be going with us. This traveling nurse will come visit us tomorrow morning, evaluate my mother for travel, and then we'll work out the plan of how the logistics of getting my mom to the airport, on the plane, to San Francisco, and then back to either her house or a hospital. That is to be determined probably tomorrow. So I got a call from her. We were talking about all those things, and she asked me if I was going to be sitting in economy. And I said, no, I had talked to the insurance people. They said, if I pay for the ticket, they can get me into business class, and then I can, with my mom. My mom and the nurse are going to be in business class, and I wanted to be up there with them. So they said I could do that, and then I could submit my receipt for reimbursement from the insurance agency when I arrive in the United States. I said, okay, let's do that. So the nurse said, oh, really? Okay. Well, that's great. So then we could take turns, and you could sit next to your mom, and I could sit next to your mother, and just in case she's disoriented, you'll be there available to pay attention to her. My mother has dementia, not severe dementia, but mild dementia, and sometimes under stressful conditions, she gets disoriented and confused. So if I'm there, all the better, right? So everything seemed fine. And then I got this text message from the nurse saying, well, you know, I checked, and they said that they have they have reserved your seat in economy, and it's so close to flight, I don't think we'll be able to find you a seat in business class. If you want, you should contact people soon. It's like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? I thought it was all arranged. So I started contacting people. I've got a whole bunch of people that I'm contacting. There's the people at the insurance agency. There are people at the traveling nursing people, the healthcare travel people, and then there's a whole nother group of people for the cruise line who is supposedly my liaison with everybody else. And so first I tried to find the email that said that I had my reservations and the itinerary, and I noticed that on my itinerary, it wasn't exactly specified what kind of seat I would have, which got me a little bit more worried. So then I sent emails out to people, and I said, well, this is what I thought was supposed to be happening, and I really think I should be up near my mother, and blah, blah, blah. So then wasn't a big deal. I mean, it's not like I wasn't getting on the plane, and it was resolved within an hour. The nurse apparently had been confused. I got another itinerary that actually showed what kind of ticket I had. I was in business class. No changes had needed to be made. Everything was just fine. And then, so I spent the afternoon with my mom, and then we got her, she went down for a nap, and she got up. I checked her oxygen, and it was a little low before dinner, so we put her in her oxygen nose thing so that she would get a little bit more O2 into her system. And then we went down to dinner. We came back up, and things so far have been okay. Last night, after I recorded my video last night, however, my mom did a little bit of a freak out on me. Well, it wasn't so much of a freak out, but she started whining and moaning. What's wrong? I'm hungry. Get me something to eat. I said, well, there is nothing to eat. Well, order something from room service. We don't have room service. We're not in that kind of a hotel. Well, go downstairs and ask for something. There's nobody to ask. Go to a vending machine. There's no vending machine here. Mother, we're on our own. There was breakfast in just a few hours. It was past midnight. Just go to sleep, and we'll have breakfast tomorrow. I'm hungry. She started whining and moaning, and because she has dementia, I'm not exactly sure what she's fully experiencing, because she can't fully express what she's experiencing either. And so I'm thinking, is she actually in pain? How much discomfort is she in? I don't know. And so I posed two possibilities. One, she goes to sleep, we have breakfast the next day. Two, I find a way, I go out and I find a convenience store in a foreign country. I don't know anything about this area, really. I find a convenience store where I can get her a snack. I said, I don't know. But you have to decide, one or the other. Can you be patient, or do you want me to go outside past midnight and find you something to eat? So she eventually said, go find me something to for now in this state, I didn't want to leave her alone for for very long. Who knows where this was leading to? This is the first time I'd seen this kind of behavior from her. This is the first time she was really expressed hunger. And I wasn't exactly sure it was hunger. It might have been something else that she was mistaking for hunger. But anyway, so I got some information where a convenience store might be. I ran in that direction, and the directions I got didn't match where it looked like there should be anything, and I saw bright lights somewhere else, and I went towards those bright lights, and there was a gas station with a convenience store, and everything in there was full of sugar. My mother's diabetic. Don't want to give her sugar. So I found some nuts. I found something that looked like a yogurt that I think that they had given her in the hospital. So I got that, and I ran back as I couldn't run. I can't run in those face masks that we use. I don't get enough oxygen. So trying to run back uphill, I had to stop very frequently and walk quickly. And then I was panting, I was laboring. I got up to the room, here, eat. And my mother apparently had laid down and fallen asleep, and I scared her going back into the room. And so, anyways, I gave her some peanuts. I didn't want her to eat all peanuts and other nuts. I didn't want her to eat all of the nuts in the bag, so I let her have some. I let her eat, and I let her eat. But the thing with dementia is that if I let her sit there with those things, if there's food in front of her, in some cases, she will just keep doing this, not paying attention to whether she's full or she's hungry or what. So we did that. And then I went to sleep. And then I had this day today. So what do I think? Well, I think some of that burden idea was expressing itself today. And the obstacle was, I think, my family relationship. I don't think it was disharmony. But I think focusing so much on finding a harmonious path for my mother perhaps might have distracted me from a potential here. And a potential here, which was another meaning or another significance of this card. So, and I don't want to sound like I'm boasting, bragging, or anything, but maybe there is some creative thing gestating here within me that perhaps even I don't have full cognizance of, that I don't fully recognize yet. Perhaps it's still in that embryonic stage that even I'm not fully aware of, and this distracts me from paying attention to that, or from giving it attention, or from discerning what's going on in there. And so hanging out, trying to give attention to my own process, what's happening for me, is good advice. I'm not sure how well I followed that advice. I think I fell into taking care of so much that I might have missed the beginnings of an opportunity, but it's not missed because I'm aware of it. I'm aware that there's perhaps something here to be realized. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what might be gestating, what I might be creating here within. I mean, doing the series is probably my own self-insemination as far as that goes. If that makes sense? And so perhaps this is something that is in the process of, and I'm not fully aware of it yet. And again, I'm kind of distracted by taking care of the family, namely my mother, and also the other family, keeping them apprised of the situation and making sure that they're not freaked out by what's happening. So maybe there is some of that three of discs that germinating in self-insemination, and I'm just not really fully aware of it. Maybe. Does that make sense? Let me know. Hit the thumbs up button if you're still here, so that YouTube knows that you got something out of this, and other people might as well. Yeah. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I upload videos. I'm trying to do one a day while I do this deep dive, but when I get back to work, I'm only going to be doing 2 a week. So hit that alarm bell. And comment below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? Have you noticed something perhaps gestating within me that I haven't noticed yet? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in a private reading, I'll have my new email address down there. You can shoot me an email, say, I want a reading, and we'll figure out a way for you to get that. Oh, I didn't tell you one thing. Speaking of readings, one more thing. My mom asked me to read for her. Now, reading for somebody who has very poor vision and has dementia is an interesting thing. So, what does this card signify to you? Does what I just said about this card, and as relates to your life, does that make any sense to you? Do you remember all of those kinds of normal questions that one would ask? Are not exactly. We don't get the same kind of responses from somebody with dementia, but it was amazing. It was I think the read, except for one card, I did a Celtic cross for my mom. The whole spread made absolute sense. It was absolute clarity, and I might have been projecting and was not fully able to confirm with my mom because of her memory. But the spread made absolute sense, except for one, that future card, yeah, the card to the right of the significator and the cross, number 1 and number 2 of the Celtic cross. The future card was the Knight of Swords, and I don't really know what that is indicating. But anyway, so I did a reading for my mom. That's something. But this, I'm not sure. Anyways, okay, end of story. That's it for today. So friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.